Okay, what is up guys? Today I'm going to install a BD track bar kit on my 97 and 2001 Dodge Ram combination. I've got a XRF adjustable kit on it. It is almost all the way extended the way that it is, and I don't like that. So I'm going to be putting on the BD kit to get a little more extension, and it will eliminate this ball joint end here. It's going to bolt something into that, I believe. So I'll have to take this tire off on this side, and that'll be about all that really needs to be done. It's going to be a little messy. Truck has been a little leaky in the past, and I've even put a billet front cover on it, and I've got just a little bit of leakage right here, and I don't know what's leaking, if it's the cover or if it's the seal. I'm not sure. So that's not very cool, but I guess I'll get this tossed into the truck, and I'll get it started up here for you guys. Okay, so I've got everything unboxed here and kind of laid out. Here's the track bar, and it's major 3 components. Those came in a big box by themselves. It comes with these 2 giant nuts, and those go on there with that. Here's they call it the retrofit bracket. This is the bushing set for the ends of the track bar. Here's the bolt set. I kind of just guessed how these things go together. I just tried to put the appropriate hardware with the appropriate bolts just to maybe organize it a little better. But these have a bushing on that go with them, and this is one that replaces the track bar. So you can see it's got this taper piece here, and they all have lock nuts. This one, it looks like I need a 3/4 of an inch drill bit for, which I do not have. The biggest I have is 5/8, and then I have some step-up bits. So I'm gonna have to maybe, I might just drill this out with a 1/2 inch and then step it up to 3/4, because this is a 1/2 inch bolt, I think. 1/2 inch or 5/8, one of the, maybe it was 5/8 bolt. And then this is a 3/4 of an inch bushing that goes around it to go through the frame, it looks like. I'm gonna get started here. I'm gonna take the wheel off and get the old track bar removed. You should be able to just unbolt it, and then this tie rod end of it, I need a light, but that tie rod end of it, I should be able to just hit it with a hammer and it should pop it loose, I think, if it doesn't want to come out. You want to hit what it's bolted to. You want to hit the piece that it's bolted to, not the threads. You do not want to hit the top of it. You want to hit the side of the metal that it goes through, and that should release it. Okay, I've gotten all of the pieces installed finally. Took a while to get it done, but finally got it. It's been hours. This bolt hole here, you've got to drill a 3/4 inch hole all the way through the frame. There's an existing hole there to give you a starting point, but you got to drill it out and then drill it through the other side. Here, the main track bar nut, I've had a lot of trouble with this over the years. This is where most of my issues were, why it took so long. I had to make some bushings because this big hunk of steel on the side of the frame here, that the little taper bushing goes in, well, that's been ground down on the underneath side, and they made it thinner, trying to let the track bar bolt go through it farther, and then they did this little washer stack here. This is a redo of it. They did a poor job of it, and it just bowed the washer and then got loose again. And then I had a guy, he actually had the right stuff. He reamed this out, put a bushing in there, and then we put it all back together, and then it worked good for a while. But somewhere, I don't know, I lost that bushing. I don't know if somebody else took this apart to inspect my joint back when it was aligned. Like if they took that apart and looked in it and was like, oh, I guess it's fine, and was like, I don't know what this is for, and then put it all back together. Or if it didn't get put in there when I put it together, I don't remember what happened exactly, but that piece is missing. So I tried to make a piece. I'll show you, I guess, since I spent quite a bit of time on it. But I couldn't get it thin enough. Or getting it thin was going to be like making it into a piece of paper. So if you can see, I got it very, very thin here out on the edges, and it's a little thicker down here. But I tried to make this to go inside there, and if I could have got it thin enough, it probably would have worked. But I checked it with some electrical tape after I started working on this for a while, the other tapered bushing that came out. And now this tapered bushing, I'll kind of show you what it looks like. This end in here, it looks like that, but it's got a hole through the center of it for the bolt. Now, I guess what I was saying, I wrapped 3 wraps of electrical tape around it, and that made it tight. So I was gonna have to grind that shim that I was making down to the thickness of 3 layers of electrical tape to get it right. So I just gave up on that, and I started making washers. So I made a stack of like 4. I think there's 4 underneath there. I can't even see them anymore because it sucked them up into there, which is good. That's what I wanted it to do. And I think it was even crushing them slightly. So I think it made them fill the hole. They took up all the extra space. And I see you're probably wondering why this washer here is welded. Well, that's because this one is the bottom one is much larger than the top one, and the bottom one is big enough around that piece can come up inside it. And I was having trouble with them wanting to slide down to the front, or that one back there in particular, it would slide down to the front. And then I was afraid that it was gonna miss if it ever got up there. So I just welded them together so that they wouldn't become unspaced from each other. And then there's a bolt here that uses, this one goes through the frame and uses an existing hole, but it uses these wedges. Well, I dropped one of those inside the frame. I had to put it in upside down for the way that it's supposed to be. You can get to it from underneath here, but it is really, really close to my steering shaft. They may touch each other sometimes. You can see it sticking up there. I can assure you I can see space through there right now. They don't touch, but they may sometimes. There's not a really good access to get anything in there and cut that off. If there was, I probably would, and just lop that top of the bolt off. But to cut that off easily is just not going to be very easy. So what I've got left to do is to adjust it. Oh, and also back here, I gotta put my brake line back on, but back here you can see those 2 shiny bolts in the cross member. Those 2 up there, there and there. One of them uses the existing brake line hole, and you got to make a new hole for your brake line, which is kind of silly. So it uses that brake line hole, and then you got to drill through all the way through the frame and underneath the bolt heads. It's kind of hard to see, light's almost too bright, but underneath the bolt heads, those are bushings that go in there to keep you from smashing the frame too far. Here is the inside of the 3/4 inch hole that you got to drill. It's got one of those bushings too, also to keep you from squashing the frame too far, only so far, and then it will catch. Also got a Magtech front diff cover. I've got AMSOIL in the front axle. When I redid the whole front axle, I put all that in there because I changed out the seal on I guess only this side, the passenger side. I changed that seal because it was leaking, and at some point I did the U-joints and ball joints. If you're wanting to do this on your own, be very prepared for an entire day. I hope this isn't your only vehicle if you're doing it, just in case. This is not my only vehicle. I have 3 counting this one, so I do not have to drive it. And at any point you can throw the wheel back on and move it. It just, without a track bar, I've done it, it just doesn't turn very well, I guess you could say, because it's going to move the body first. So I wouldn't recommend trying to drive very far with it like that, because I don't think the end result will be a very good one. I'll wrap this video up. It's starting to get a little lengthy, but if you have any questions, please comment. The instructions are really pretty good. I don't think you should have any trouble installing it unless your truck is really screwed up like mine was and somebody got a grinder after it and removed material. Like, you shouldn't have any trouble, and I think that's where most of my trouble was. But I would also recommend, I think, before you tighten anything up, I would try to get the track bar in and get the bolt in and then tighten it up. They don't say to do it that way in the instructions, but that could have helped, because I had to really turn that bushing. And again, I think it was just from my frame, but and this truck has also been rolled too. Don't forget that. And I try to forget that sometimes. So there could be some kind of tweak in the frame that is slight enough to not show up, but enough that something's up there. Just to I guess give you a little info on what I used when I rebuilt the front axle. I did use Spicer ball joints, Spicer U-joints, SKF wheel bearings on both sides. I want to do the brakes. I want to put drilled and slotted brakes on there that would fit a 3rd gen, because this is a 2001 axle. Kind of lucked out there. 2001 and 2002 trucks, they have the same brake caliper as a 3rd gen truck. You can swap the bracket from a 2nd gen bracket to a 3rd gen bracket. You use your caliper if you want to, or you can get a new caliper. I'm probably going to just get new ones for both sides, because I'm a little overkill a lot of the time. So new rotors, new calipers, new brackets, new dust shields, and then I'll no longer ever be able to fit stock 2nd gen rims on the front, because the caliper and the rotor are bigger, which that's kind of another reason of going to it, because I want bigger rotors and pads. Well, I'm gonna get off of here, and if you like the video, would you please subscribe? Helps me out a lot. Gives me some motivation when I see new subscribers to make a new video. So I know it lets me know that somebody wants to see my content. So that all being said, everybody have a great day, and if you try to tackle this yourself, make sure you've got a whole day to do it.